Have you ever wondered why 10 years of tears, trials, and struggles seem to sit so heavy on your shoulders right now? Have you questioned why? Despite your prayers and endurance, the breakthrough has felt just out of reach. And yet, what if I told you that one night, yes, this very night, could erase a decade of pain and shift everything in your favor? Chosen one, God has been weaving your story in ways unseen. He carried you through the fire without letting it consume you. He preserved you when storms should have drowned you. He placed a divine mark on your life that no enemy could erase. No setback could cancel, and no delay could destroy. Every closed door, every long night, every unanswered prayer, it was all building momentum for this exact moment. And now, you stand at the edge of destiny. Tonight isn't ordinary, it's prophetic. It's the night where chains break, barriers fall, and what once seemed impossible becomes undeniable. You, the one who thought time was wasted, they will soon realize nothing was lost. It was all preparation. By sunrise, your spirit will shift from waiting to receiving, from hidden battles to visible victory, from enduring the test to enjoying the testimony. So I urge you, stay with me until the very end of this message, because heaven has reserved a roar for you tonight. Comment 777 below if your spirit is ready to step into this divine season. And let this community know you are claiming what God has appointed. And before we go deeper, I want to pause and say a heartfelt thank you to each of you. Whether you support through super thanks or simply by showing up here with your faith, you are the reason this message continues to reach the chosen. Get ready, because what comes next will shake you, awaken you, and confirm that God Himself is rewriting your story tonight. God's chosen ones. One night will erase 10 years of struggle tonight. Rise now, chosen one, for the ascent prepared for you will not arrive with hesitation. It will break forth suddenly, like dawn bursting through a night sky heavy with clouds. When the heavenly command whispers to your soul to prepare, it is not an invitation to shrink back in fear or brace yourself in tension, but a divine summons to fasten yourself into the chariot of God's speed. The force about to propel your life is not fragile, it is the ignition of destiny, a liftoff into realms you once thought distant. Have you ever felt as though the years of waiting have stretched endlessly, yet sensed deep within that a single night could collapse all that delay into one breathtaking moment? That is the frequency of heaven's timing, a resonance of eternity intersecting with your fragile hours. This is the hour when opportunities you could never manufacture will suddenly crystallize before your eyes, as if the invisible scaffolding of heaven itself is lowering doors into your path. Barriers that once mocked your prayers will go silent, muted by the weight of God's decree, and the future that feels blurred by shadows will suddenly blaze with divine clarity. Scripture reminds us in Isaiah 60:22, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen swiftly." And what could be more astonishing than the thought that tonight may be that appointed hour? Your season is not one of anxious climbing, gasping for each step, but of launching where God's hand thrusts you beyond the gravity of delay into the orbit of His promises. For years you asked in the stillness, "When will my time come?" Those nights of silent tears, when prayers seem to echo back from the walls of heaven's courts, have not been wasted. They have been recorded as testimony. King David knew this feeling when he cried out in Psalm 56:8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. What if those very tears have been watering the soil of your breakthrough? What if the loneliness you endured was not abandonment, but preparation for recognition no human hand can deny? History teaches us the power of compressed moments. Florence Nightingale, known as the Lady with the Lamp, spent years in obscurity, tending quietly to the sick, mocked by many for her conviction. Yet one night during the Crimean War, her compassion under candlelight transformed her into a beacon of hope for nations. Could it be that your hidden years, too, are about to erupt into global recognition in one divine night? The scriptures show God's mastery of collapsing time. Joseph languished in prison for years, yet in one night he was summoned to interpret Pharaoh's dream. And by morning he sat clothed in royal garments. Genesis 41-14. In the language of physics, time itself can bend under great force. And in God's architecture of destiny, the weight of his decree compresses decades into moments. Does this not stir something within you? The realization that your delay has not been denial, but the setup for acceleration? As Handel's Messiah thunders with the words, "And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together." One cannot help but imagine your story aligning with that triumphant chorus. The composition that once shook Europe now echoes prophetically in your life, the unveiling of glory after seasons of silence. Tonight is not simply another night on a calendar, it is a sacred performance where heaven orchestrates your debut. But notice also the warning embedded in this promise. Think of the downfall of Pharaoh, a ruler who hardened his heart against God's people. His empire of oppression collapsed in a single night of divine judgment when the angel passed through Egypt. Exodus 12:29. The very structures he built to cage others became his own tomb. Is this not a sober reminder that resisting God's timing leads only to ruin? In psychology, this is the principle of resistance. Fatigue opposition cannot endure when confronted with overwhelming truth. Those who tried to delay you will exhaust themselves, while you rise renewed. In nature, too, the suddenness of breakthrough is evident. The bamboo tree spends years hidden beneath the soil, unseen, as if nothing is happening. But in one extraordinary season, it can grow over 90 feet in a matter of weeks. Could your life be on the verge of the same divine explosion, where unseen roots now give way to undeniable height? And even the voice of ordinary lives testifies. Maria, a seamstress from a small town in Italy, once said in an interview that the night my first child was born, all the years of waiting vanished. It felt as though time folded itself into joy. Her words echo your own story, the years of longing, the ache of patience, suddenly erased in a single night. Do you feel it? Chosen one, the stirring of prophecy under your skin, the tremble of destiny breaking its silence. Psalm 30:5 promises, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Tonight, God specializes in collapsing the stretch of your struggle into one divine encounter. One moment so potent it rewrites a decade of delay. Are you ready to rise? To step into the current of God's acceleration? This is your launching season. It is not an anxious climb, but a divine liftoff. Stand firm, fasten your spirit, and prepare, because the same God who parted seas and raised the dead is now parting the timelines of your life. Hebrews 10:37 declares, "For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come, and will not tarry. The wait ends now. The dawn is here. Stand up, rise, and move forward into the sudden glory of your calling." For one night will indeed erase 10 years of struggle, and that night is upon you. What should have stretched across a decade will, by the unsearchable wisdom of his timing, collapse into a single night where purpose violently collides with promise, and the sparks of destiny set the air ablaze. This is not some fragile illusion of hope, nor a magician's sleight-of-hand optimism. It is the unshakable arithmetic of faith, where one divine equation rewrites the timeline of your life. For when God declares acceleration, one holy night can weigh as much as 10 long years of toil, prayer, and endurance. Can you feel it, how the invisible gears of eternity grind into place, aligning your life with the architecture of heaven itself? Hebrews 11:1 declares, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." And in this collision of unseen evidence with tangible breakthrough, the mathematics of miracles is revealed. What the world calls impossible, heaven calls inevitable. Because when divine order intersects with human surrender, nothing can delay what is already decreed. This is not a night to trivialize, for angels are already on assignment, dispatched with precision like celestial architects carrying blueprints drawn in the courts of heaven. Daniel once experienced this when Gabriel was sent to deliver answers to his fasting and prayer. Yet resistance in the heavenly realms delayed the moment until God reinforced the battle with Michael, the archangel. Daniel 10:13. Does it not stir you to know that while you sleep, the air around you may be trembling with the wings of angels sent on your behalf? That while you thought nothing was moving, heaven has been strategizing in silence for the night of your unveiling. Every whispered prayer you thought vanished into emptiness has in fact been stored like building blocks. And tonight those blocks form the staircase for your ascent. Every sigh, every groan, has become raw material for heaven's strategy. Faith is not passive, it is the resonance of your spirit with the eternal frequency of God's word. Just as in physics, resonance amplifies sound until it shatters glass, so too does faith amplify divine timing until barriers that stood for years must finally break. Jesus himself proclaimed in Matthew 17:20, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move." Mountains that mocked you for a decade are about to crumble in a night. Yet the question rises, are you prepared to carry the weight of acceleration when it suddenly falls upon you? For when timelines compress, responsibility multiplies. Will you be steady enough to steward what others waited years for? And yet heaven grants you in a single night. Faith not only shifts mountains, it shifts you, transforming your capacity to carry miracles. Nature itself whispers this truth. The desert cactus waits years in silence under blistering suns, seemingly lifeless, until one extraordinary night when the queen of the night flower bursts open, radiant and fragrant, but only for a few fleeting hours. Can your spirit embrace the reality that God has hidden your glory until the right hour, only to unveil it suddenly in brilliance? Just like the desert bloom, the compression of years into moments is his signature. He is not bound by the slow grind of human calendars. The cactus teaches us patience, but it also teaches us the breathtaking suddenness of divine release. When it blooms, no one can deny the fragrance. When you rise, no one can deny the light pouring out of you. The world may have misjudged you as barren, but heaven calls you fertile, waiting for your appointed season. But let us not forget the cautionary tale of King Belshazzar of Babylon, who lived in arrogance, exalting himself against the God of Israel. On a single night, while he drank from vessels stolen from the temple and praised false gods. A hand appeared and wrote his doom on the wall. You have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Daniel 5:27. That very night his kingdom was taken from him. Do you see how swiftly God both promotes and removes? One moment can crown you with destiny, while another can strip the arrogant bare. Which side of his timing will you stand upon? History confirms again and again that arrogance builds unstable empires, but humility builds thrones that last. What took Babylon decades to construct was lost in hours, while the humble exiles rose to favor by the dawn. Your journey is proof that heaven never forgets. Romans 8:28 assures us that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. What once seemed wasted years are now being gathered, condensed, and multiplied into a decisive release. And yet the soul must ask, what if the night you thought would pass in ordinary silence is the very night heaven has chosen to collapse 10 years of labor into one miracle? Every hardship, every setback, every betrayal that tried to delay you is now fuel for your sudden rising. Psalm 126:1 captures it perfectly. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Could it be that by sunrise, your story will read like a dream too marvelous to be explained by human logic? Could it be that tonight you move from scarcity to abundance, from shadows to spotlight, from hidden prayers to public testimony? This is no illusion. Angels are circling, promises are converging, timelines are collapsing, and heaven's hand is writing acceleration across your destiny. You have survived the waiting season. Now the sudden season overtakes you. What once felt like delay was divine preparation, and what felt like silence was heaven writing symphonies beneath the surface. The stage is set. The hour is chosen, and your name has been called. Rise now. Chosen one, do not dismiss the weight of this moment. Stand tall, lift your head, and brace for the velocity of heaven. This is not the arithmetic of man, but the arithmetic of faith. Angels have been assigned. The night has been chosen, and destiny has already been summoned. Stand up, for one divine night will outvalue 10 human years. Your time is not just coming, it is here. The atmosphere around you is not ordinary, it is charged. Thick with a spiritual shift, so weighty it presses upon your very chest. You have felt it in the ache of long nights, in the quiet anticipation that made your spirit restless, in the trembling of your prayers when words failed but tears spoke louder. That is not imagination nor phantom, it is confirmation that the frequency of heaven is resonating with your life, like a tuning fork vibrating when struck by the right pitch. Your spirit is trembling because God's wavelength has touched you. Romans 8:19 declares, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." What if the tension you feel is not despair but the labor pains of your own revealing? What if the heaviness pressing against you is not punishment, but the weight of glory pressing to be borne? And what if this sense of pressure is simply the signal that the walls are thinning, that the veil is lifting, that what was hidden is now preparing to burst forth into the open? The Lord has never wasted pain. Throughout Scripture, sorrow has always been the raw material for transformation. Job's ashes became the foundation of a double blessing, as it is written in Job 42:10. The Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Joseph's betrayal became the stairway to Egypt's throne. David's wilderness became the training ground for Israel's crown. In the divine architecture of destiny, suffering is not a wall but scaffolding, building you higher until the day the covering is pulled away and the structure of your life gleams with God's design. Can you see how the stage is being built from your sorrows? So that the same griefs that bent your knees are the very beams that hold up your coronation? And could it be that every rejection was really a redirection? Every loss a hidden layer of preparation for the throne you are about to step into? In psychology, there is a term called post-traumatic growth. The paradox where people emerge from trials stronger, wiser, and more anchored than before. Spiritually, this truth has been alive for centuries. The Lord has redirected your sorrow into soil, and like a seed buried beneath the weight of earth, your tears have been the rainfall that nourished roots you could not see. Psalm 126:5 proclaims, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." Could it be that every tear you shed in hidden places was watering a field of harvest greater than your imagination? Could it be that sorrow has not been your ending, but the incubator of your supernatural increase? For just as a seed must decay before it breaks open, perhaps your old life had to crack so that new life could grow out of you with unstoppable force. This restoration God promises is not shallow or partial. It is both intimate and exponential. He heals the inner fractures of your heart while multiplying the outward works of your hands. It is not one or the other, it is both. The woman with the issue of blood was not only restored in body when she touched the hem of Christ's garment, she was restored in dignity before the crowd. Mark 5:34. What if your restoration will not only mend your private wounds, but also publicly rewrite your story? What if those who thought your chapter was over must stand in awe as God writes an entire new book through your life? And what if the restoration begins so gently, like the mending of a scar, only to expand so forcefully that it shifts the course of generations after you? Science, too, reveals this mystery. In physics, there is the law of conservation of energy. It cannot be destroyed, only transferred or transformed. In the kingdom, sorrow works in the same way. It is never wasted, only redirected, recycled, transformed into power for your destiny. Ecclesiastes 3:11, Ashures us. He has made everything beautiful in its time. If that is true, then even the ugliness of your pain is being transmuted into a beauty not yet unveiled. The ache you feel is the hum of transformation, like molten metal being hammered into a sword. And just as blacksmiths know that the fiercest flames forge the sharpest blades, could it be that the fire you endured was never meant to destroy you, but to weaponize you for victory? And testimonies arise not only from Scripture, but from the lives of ordinary people. Elena, a widowed baker in a small Spanish town, once said, "When my husband died, I thought the bakery would close with my grief, but kneading the dough became my prayer. And now the business that was nearly buried feeds families across the city." Her words testify that sorrow can be redirected into sustenance, just as your own wounds can become the bread that nourishes others. Your pain is not your prison, it is your pulpit. And if an ordinary woman, broken by loss, yet sustained by quiet faith, can see ashes turned into bread for many, how much more will God multiply the very things you thought would be buried forever? Yet the warning stands: those who weaponize sorrow against others collapse under the weight of their cruelty. Herod, drunk with pride, tried to silence the voices of destiny by slaughtering the innocent. Matthew 2:16. But history records that his reign ended in torment and decay. Do you see the pattern? Where sorrow is redirected by God, it multiplies into increase. Where sorrow is twisted by pride, it becomes the sword that pierces the oppressor's own heart. Which side of this law will you embody? And if the proud cannot escape the weight of their corruption, how much more will the humble escape into the shelter of God's mercy? Rise, chosen one. The spiritual atmosphere is thick with breakthroughs. The ache you feel is not a sign of death, but the final push of birth. Restoration is rushing toward you, healing for your heart, strength for your spirit, and multiplication for your destiny. Lift your head, brace your soul, and stand tall. For what once was sorrow is now soil, and in that soil God is planting the roots of supernatural increase. Stand up, for your night of restoration has arrived. And when you rise, it will not just be for yourself, it will be for the countless lives that your testimony will ignite. The future generations who will eat from the fruit of your restored tree. The weight you carried in silence, hidden in the corners of your private life, where no one applauded and no one understood, is about to be exchanged in public for honor, authority, and influence that cannot be ignored. What was once a burden pressing down on your shoulders is now becoming the very mantle that distinguishes you. The enemy tried to stall you, whispering that delay was denial, convincing you that God had overlooked your prayers. But was that delay not the furnace that shaped your resilience, the fire that refined your faith into gold? Scripture reminds us in 1 Peter 1-7, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Could it be that the very heat you despised was heaven's workshop, transforming your pain into priceless endurance? Could it be that the ashes you carried will now serve as the ink with which God writes your testimony? Now the chains break, one by one, with the sound of heaven's decree echoing across your destiny. This is not a small shift. It is the violent shattering of spiritual iron bars that once confined you. Isaiah 60:1 contra 1 declares, He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners. Can you sense that this is not just your liberation, but also your commissioning to rise as a voice of freedom for others still trapped in silence? And if chains that took decades to forge can fall in a single night, what will stop you from stepping into the influence that God has already written into your name? For every limitation that whispered no, heaven now answers with a thunderous yes. Each no that haunted you was nothing but the echo of fear, the residue of opposition, the hiss of the serpent trying to drown out God's promise. Yet tonight, the frequency of God's word drowns out every lie. 2 Corinthians 1:20 declares, For no matter how many promises God has made, they are yes in Christ. What if the chorus of yes is already resounding over your life, louder than every rejection you ever faced? What if the angels who were silent during your waiting season are now singing in unison as the doors burst open? History gives us living proof. The Italian painter Caravaggio, once hunted as a criminal, produced works in the shadows that later became timeless masterpieces. His exile was the crucible, but his return was a revelation of brilliance. Could it be that your hidden years, painted in the darkness of struggle, are about to shine on a public canvas too radiant to deny? And just as Beethoven's Missa Solemnis rises in solemn glory, proclaiming Sanctus, 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 your story too is lifting into a sacred anthem, where heaven and earth will witness your coronation. Nature itself reflects this divine exchange. The oyster endures the irritation of a grain of sand, hidden in its shell for years, until the friction produces a pearl of great value. Matthew 13:45-46 reminds us of the parable of the pearl of great price, hidden, costly, and treasured beyond measure. What if the irritations of your past, the wounds, the betrayals, The sleepless nights were not signs of denial, but the slow, painful process of birthing a pearl in your spirit. What if you are about to emerge as heaven's treasure, set in a crown of influence and glory? Yet remember, there are those who misuse their influence and paid the price of arrogance. Napoleon Bonaparte, intoxicated by his own power, once declared himself invincible, only to meet defeat at Waterloo, his empire collapsing like sandcastles before the tide. Do you see how swiftly the tables turn when pride usurps the place of God? The enemy who once mocked you will now choke on his own schemes. For Proverbs 26:27 declares, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." Hallelujah, this is your night of release. The chains are gone. The weight is lifted. The no has been silenced by heaven's yes. What once was private pain is about to become public honor. What once was whispered oppression is about to be shouted freedom. Rise, chosen one, and take your place. Do not bow under what is already broken. Stand tall, because the fire that refined you is also the light that reveals you. Tonight is not the end of your struggle, it is the coronation of your strength. And when the shaking comes, for it will surely come by the hand of the Almighty, do not tremble in terror. For not every shake signals ruin. Some earthquakes are not punishments but holy purges, breaking apart the fragile scaffolding of lies so that the bedrock of truth can appear. God himself declared in Haggai 2:6, "In a little while I will once more shake the heavens and the earth, the sea and the dry land." What if the shaking you feel is not the end of your story, but the removal of everything unworthy of your destiny? What if the tremors beneath your feet are not meant to bury you, but to unearth the treasure hidden beneath the soil of your life? And what if the very ground quaking under you is simply heaven rearranging the stage for your next unveiling, clearing away the counterfeit so the authentic can finally shine, just as seismic tremors loosen rotting beams in an old house? The divine shaking loosens every rotten attachment clinging to your spirit. Rotten boards fall, but the foundation remains. Hebrews 12:27 declares that God shakes so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Have you considered that some of the shaking in your life is heaven's mercy, tearing away what would have collapsed under the weight of your calling? And if you had been left unshaken, would you still be bound to the very things that were keeping you small? Perhaps this quaking is not an interruption, but an intervention, a mercy disguised as chaos, preparing you for stability that can no longer be stolen. The soil beneath your feet is not collapsing, it is being prepared for deeper roots. Jeremiah 17:2-2 proclaims, "Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream." Could it be that the very shaking that unsettled you is really making space for your roots to sink into streams you could not reach before? In nature, redwood trees, some of the tallest in the world, to withstand storms, not because their roots are deep, but because they intertwine with other redwoods underground. Perhaps the shaking has forced you into alignment, connecting your roots with those destined to hold you upright when the next storm arrives. And maybe the quaking is heaven's way of ensuring you will not stand alone, but with a network of strength designed for endurance. And in this shaking, dead weight must fall, relationships that drained your soul, voices that chained your identity, masks that blurred your vision, all of them are being stripped away. Ephesians 4:22 commands us to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires. What if the false identities you clung to were never who you really were, but costumes placed on you by people who feared your true light? What if the shaking is tearing the costumes apart, leaving only the pure garment God designed for you? And what if the pain of losing what you thought defined you is really the joy of discovering what was always hidden inside of you? History bears witness to this truth. During the Renaissance, Michelangelo once said of his sculptures, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." Could it be that God, the master sculptor, is using the shaking not to destroy you, but to chisel away the marble, freeing the angel of destiny inside of you? Every crack, every tremor, every loss, it is all carving away what was never truly you. And when the dust clears, the beauty that emerges will not just reflect survival, but divine artistry. Could it be that your trials were never random, but strokes of the divine chisel preparing you for revelation? Yet there is also a sobering warning. In the 1st century, Emperor Nero shook the Roman Empire with cruelty, masking his corruption with false glory. But the shaking he unleashed turned against him, and history records that he died in despair, abandoned, declaring, "What an artist dies in me." Do you see? When a shaking is met with pride and arrogance, it destroys. But when a shaking is met with surrender, it rebuilds. Which response will define you? And if Nero's shaking led to ruin, what might your shaking lead to if it is met with humility, worship, and obedience? False identities dissolve in the fire of shaking, but what remains is indestructible. Zechariah 13:9 reminds us, "I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them." If God's shaking has come upon you, it is because he sees more silver in you than the world has acknowledged, more gold in you than you have ever believed. So why fear the shaking? If it reveals your worth, why dread the quake? If it is heaven's instrument to set you free, and what if the very trembling you despise is actually the sound of chains snapping, the melody of freedom ringing across your life? Rise now, chosen one. The shaking is not to bury you, but to build you. The earthquake is not your downfall, but your coronation. Roots are deepening. Dead weight is falling. False identities are burning away. Stand tall in the trembling ground, for when the shaking ends, you will still remain unmovable, unshaken, standing upon the rock of Christ. Tonight is the night of release, not ruin. Stand up, for what is collapsing around you is nothing compared to what is rising within you. And when dawn comes, you will not only have survived the quake, you will be crowned because of it. Generational strongholds that bound families for centuries are now trembling under the weight of heaven's decree, their grip weakening with every divine disturbance. Patterns of fear, cycles of poverty, chains of addiction, and silent curses spoken over bloodlines are losing their authority in the atmosphere of God's presence. This disturbance is not chaos, it is construction. It is heaven's bulldozer clearing away the ruins of the past to make space for a palace of destiny. Exodus 20:6 reminds us that God shows love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. What if the disturbance you feel in your soul is not punishment, but liberation? A shaking designed to free not only you, but the generations that will come from you. And what if the restlessness in your spirit is actually the sound of chains snapping, ancient walls crumbling, destinies once buried now resurrecting? So embrace the disturbance, because it is not disorder but reordering. Heaven often interrupts what is comfortable in order to establish what is unshakable. Isaías 43:19 declares, See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Could it be that the very frustrations, delays, and upheavals you are experiencing are simply heaven's demolition crew clearing the foundation for your next elevation? Could it be that what feels like loss is actually preparation for gain in architecture before a skyscraper rises? Engineers dig deep, sometimes destroying old foundations to pour steel and concrete strong enough to sustain the height. Perhaps the disturbance in your life is the excavation of heaven, digging deep so that your destiny can rise without collapsing. Expect velocity. Expect acceleration. What once took decades will now unfold in months, and what consumed months will now occur in moments. Habakkuk 1:5 declares, "For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told." Could it be that acceleration is not just about speed, but divine synchronization, where your life suddenly lines up with heaven's perfect timing? In physics, velocity is not just distance covered, it is direction multiplied by speed. What if God is not only quickening your progress, but aligning it with the precise direction of His will? What if the acceleration is not chaotic sprinting, but purposeful momentum, catapulting you exactly where you were always meant to be? The evidence of sudden multiplication has always been heaven's signature. Think of the widow in 2 Kings 4-7, whose small jar of oil, once poured out in obedience, filled every vessel until overflow. Recall the disciples in Luke 5-6, who, after a night of empty nets, suddenly saw their boat sinking from the weight of fish. These stories are not mere tales of long ago. They are prophetic templates of what God is releasing over your life right now. What if your little, your hidden talent, your fragile dream, your small act of faith was about to multiply in ways that your hands cannot contain? What if your obedience in obscurity is about to become overflow in visibility? History bears testimony through the lives of the ordinary. Javier, a farmer in rural Chile, once shared that after years of poor harvest, one rainy season transformed his small fields into abundance, and he used the profit not only to save his family, but to build a school for the children of his village. His words echoed with faith. Sometimes God waits until we are almost empty, so He can prove that He alone fills us. Could it be that your own life is standing on the edge of such divine multiplication, where what seemed barren is about to bless nations? Yet we must not forget the warning hidden in these miracles. King Saul, once chosen, squandered his acceleration by disobedience. Instead of multiplying what was entrusted, he grasped for control and lost his throne in a single day. 1 Samuel 15:28. Do you see how swiftly God both elevates and removes? If multiplication is mishandled, it collapses. But if stewarded in humility, it establishes legacy. Which posture will define your response when the overflow comes? God multiplies what remains faithful. 1 Corinthians 4:2 affirms, "Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." Could it be that your faithfulness in little things, your prayers whispered when no one listened, your sacrifices made in secret, are the very seeds of your multiplication? Could it be that what others dismissed as insignificant is what God is now choosing to exalt? Just as resonance in sound waves amplifies until it fills a concert hall, so does faithfulness in small things echo until heaven amplifies it into nations. Soul, rise. Chosen one, the strongholds are crumbling. The disturbance is holy. The velocity is here, and the multiplication is undeniable. What once limited your family line ends with you, and what once seemed too slow is now accelerating into purpose. Lift your head, brace your spirit, and prepare to carry more than you thought possible. Stand up, for the soil is clear, the foundation is laid, and your elevation has already begun. This is not just a season, it is your multiplication season, ordained from the courts of heaven and stamped with divine timing. Financial tightness, spiritual fatigue, and emotional depletion have tried to convince you that this is your eternal state. But God is about to overturn that lie with supernatural restitution. Joel kaksi kumentavisi promises, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Could it be that every year you thought was wasted is actually being folded back into your destiny, redeemed in a single sweep of God's hand? Could it be that what felt like depletion was simply a chamber where strength was gathering in silence, waiting to be released? And what if the very emptiness you hated was the womb where heaven has been forming your new beginning? Concealed until the appointed moment of revelation, this move of God is not manufactured by human striving, ambition, or restless toil. It is not the frantic sprint of flesh, but the holy orchestration of heaven. Psalm 127:1 reminds us, unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. What if all your striving was never wasted, but simply training you to release control so that heaven's architecture could rise? In science, resonance occurs when frequencies align, creating vibrations powerful enough to shake entire structures. Could it be that your obedience is finally aligning with heaven's frequency, causing acceleration that no earthly system can stop? And is it possible that what once felt like noise and confusion in your spirit was really heaven tuning you until your life could harmonize with God's perfect pitch? Multiplication is not birthed through self-promotion, but through obedience and positioning. When Elijah instructed the widow of Zarephath to use her last handful of flour, her obedience unlocked a miracle that sustained her household through famine. 1 Kings 17:14-16. Could your small act of trust in the middle of scarcity become the gateway to overflow? Could your humility, hidden in the shadows, be the seed heaven is about to spotlight before nations? Nature teaches us this mystery as well. The honeybee, though fragile alone, multiplies sweetness by laboring in quiet obedience, producing honey that feeds generations. Could it be that your quiet obedience will leave behind nourishment for countless lives you may never meet? And what if the hidden discipline you maintained in secret will one day feed an entire generation? Just as one hive sustains a forest, so position your life in humility, readiness, and trust. The miracle is not the product of anxious effort, but of surrendered alignment. James 4:10 declares, humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Tonight will not merely lift you, it will vindicate you. Vindication is not vengeance, it is God's justice revealed in time. In literature, Shakespeare once wrote in The Merchant of Venice, truth will out. Could it be that tonight is the night truth bursts forth from hiding, and shining brighter than every shadow of accusation? Could it be that vindication is not God humiliating your enemies, but God glorifying himself through your rising? And is it possible that the very mouths that once mocked you will now testify on your behalf? Unable to deny what their own eyes are seeing, those who mocked or minimized your journey will be forced to reckon with what only God could do. The Pharisees scoffed at Jesus, demanding signs, yet could not deny. When Lazarus walked out of the tomb, John 11:43-44, vindication is not about revenge, it is about revelation. Yet remember the caution. King Herod, in his arrogance, sought glory for himself, receiving the crowd's worship as though he were a god. Scripture records in Acts 12:23 that he was struck down and consumed by worms. Do you see the difference? Humility invites vindication. Pride invites destruction. Which posture will define you? And could it be that your vindication will become a mirror for others, showing them that pride collapses but surrender establishes? The vindication God brings is not shallow, it is layered, generational, undeniable. Psalm 23, 5 Asurasus. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. What if your rising is not just about your breakthrough, but about the countless lives who will witness your table prepared and recognize the God who set it? What if your story becomes a living testimony that obedience outweighs striving, humility outruns pride, and surrender outranks ambition? And what if your table is not only set for you, but also for the future generations who will eat from the overflow of your faithfulness? Rise now, chosen one. This is not the hour for bitterness, but for boldness. Stand tall, for your multiplication season is here, not by your striving, but by heaven's decree. What once was scarcity is now overflow. What once was mockery is now testimony, and what once was delay is now acceleration. Stand up, for tonight is not about revenge, it is about vindication, restoration, and exaltation by the hand of the Lord. And when you rise, the world will not simply see you, they will see Him, the God who multiplies the faithful. It is about testimony, your life itself becoming the unshakable evidence of God's hand. Let success be the eloquent answer to every doubt, every whisper, every accusation the world ever raised about your worth. The very questions once used to mock you will be silenced, not by argument, but by the undeniable manifestation of fruit. Revelation 12:11 declares, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Could it be that your testimony is about to carry the weight of heaven, standing as both a sword and a shield? Could it be that all the ridicule and disbelief were only setting the stage for your vindication? And what if the most powerful sermon of your life will not be preached in words, but lived in undeniable results? For testimonies are not crafted by clever speech, they are birthed in the fire of endurance and crowned in the glory of fulfillment. Every unseen sacrifice, every tear wiped away in the dark, every prayer whispered when no one else believed, none of them went unnoticed. Psalm 56, Astorni Asuresas. You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book, if heaven bottles tears? Then surely your weeping has been stored as holy evidence. What if the nights you felt most abandoned were actually nights where angels stood guard, recording your faithfulness? What if every act of obedience in obscurity has been quietly shaping the crown you are about to wear? Just as gold is tested in fire, your tears have been refined into treasures. Heaven now prepares to release. And perhaps what you called silence from God was really the sound of His pen writing your future chapters with the ink of your endurance. Every seed sown in poverty or loneliness has not been lost. It has been planted into eternal soil. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. Could it be that the soil of your struggle was more fertile than you realized? Could it be that your smallest seeds, acts of kindness, words of faith, choices of integrity have been growing underground, waiting for a season of sudden harvest? In nature, the lotus flower grows out of the muddiest waters, yet it blooms into a symbol of purity and resilience. What if your hardships were not your end, but the very mud that nourished the beauty of your coming bloom? And is it not possible that the loneliness you endured was the rain softening the ground so your seeds could finally burst into life? God remembers, and He never forgets what is entrusted to Him. Hebrews 6:10 declares, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him. He stores every faithful moment and translates them into favor and fruitfulness. In history, the sculptor Auguste Rodin once said, patience is also a form of action. Could your patient faith, hidden from the applause of men, be the action that heaven now multiplies into visible favor? And what if the very delays you despised were not denials, but the rhythm of heaven's timing, preparing a harvest that cannot be stolen, just as a symphony builds with crescendos and pauses? Perhaps your pauses were not empty, they were rests in heaven's score, preparing for the grand unveiling of your testimony. Yet remember, those who despise testimony and twist their gifts for arrogance meet destruction. The French revolutionary Maximilien Robespierre rose on fiery words, but when his testimony turned into tyranny, the same crowds that once cheered him dragged him to the guillotine. Do you see the contrast? When testimony is rooted in pride, it collapses, but when it is rooted in God, it stands as eternal evidence. Which soil will you allow your story to grow in self-exaltation that decays, or divine remembrance that multiplies? And could it be that God has allowed you to witness the fall of the arrogant so you would understand more deeply the weight of walking in humility? Your testimony is more than memory, it is prophecy. Psalm 116 visi promises. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. Could it be that your return is closer than you think? Arms full of harvest, voice full of joy? Could it be that the very field where you once wept will soon be the place where you dance? And is it not fitting that the very ground watered with your tears will be the same ground that bears the fruit of laughter? So rise, chosen one. Let your testimony roar louder than opposition. Stand tall, because the tears are turning into triumph, the sacrifices into success, and the seeds into abundance. Tonight is not about proving yourself. It is about God proving Himself through you. This is not revenge, it is revelation. Stand up, for your life is about to become the living testimony that heaven never forgets. And when it happens, those who doubted you will not just see your rise, they will see God's glory written all over your story. The reward you receive in this hour is not meant to stop with you, it is generational. What descends upon your life will ripple outward like concentric waves on a lake, touching not only your children, but your children's children. Génesis 17:7 declares, I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you. Could it be that your perseverance in private struggles has already paved a road your descendants will walk on with ease? Could it be that your sleepless nights, prayers, and sacrifices are constructing bridges across rivers they will never have to drown in? And what if your endurance has secretly written their inheritance in the language of abundance and peace? Even before they can speak it aloud, the echo of your faith will outlive you. Just as an ancient bell continues to ring long after the rope has been released, your legacy will be inked not in fleeting trends, but in eternal promise, written in heaven's own handwriting. Isaiah 3:2-3:1 reminds us, the fruit of righteousness will be peace, its effect will be quietness and confidence forever. This peace is not the fragile quiet of avoidance, but the deep-rooted stability of a life aligned with God's blueprint. In nature, the great sequoia trees rise tall and unshakable, their roots intertwined with others for strength across centuries. Could it be that your spiritual roots are intertwining with heaven's covenant, making your family line immovable, no matter the storms? And could it be that the fruit you bear in this moment will become the shade under which countless others will find rest? Perhaps the shade you create will heal wounds that you yourself will never see. Yet your faith will be the unseen medicine for generations to come. As Scripture reminds us through timeless words, Jeremiah 29:11 promises, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord." Isaiah 40:9 proclaims, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Romans 8:28 assures. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Proverbs 3:5 instructs, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." Could it be that these were never meant as simple phrases of comfort, but as architectural beams scaffolding for the season you now enter? And if these are beams, then your faith is the mortar holding them together, binding divine promise into living structure, just as a cathedral stands because stone after stone is carefully placed. Your legacy is being built word by word, prayer by prayer, obedience by obedience. Do not be deceived. You will not be elevated by popularity, applause, or the shallow spotlight of men. You will be elevated by purpose. 1 Peter 5:6 declares, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time." Could it be that this due time is now opening before you? Not because you polished your image, but because you prepared your spirit, just as an athlete trains in obscurity, sweating in silence before stepping into the roar of the stadium. Perhaps your hidden seasons of preparation have finally brought you to the arena of destiny. And what if the loneliness you once hated was the training ground of kings? The silent gymnasium where heaven was shaping muscles that popularity could never build. The applause of men fades, but the weight of purpose grows stronger with every hidden repetition of faith. History warns us through those who pursued elevation by pride rather than preparation. Napoleon Bonaparte rose with brilliance, but crowned himself emperor in defiance of divine order, and his empire collapsed in exile and isolation. Do you see how those who chase thrones through ambition lose them through arrogance? But those who submit to God's timing inherit crowns no hand can steal. Which path will define your testimony? Self-exaltation that burns out, or purpose that endures through generations? And could it be that God lets us witness the fall of such figures so that humility becomes etched in our bones, so that when the crown comes, we carry it lightly and wear it with reverence? For the truth remains, God promotes the prepared, not the polished. The polish fades, the applause dies, the image cracks, but preparation anchors a life in resilience and permanence. Could it be that your scars, far from being flaws, are the very credentials heaven recognizes as readiness? Could it be that the world's rejection was simply the refiner's fire, stripping away what could not last, so only what is eternal would remain? And what if those scars, instead of disqualifying you, are the proof that you survived the furnace and emerged forged into unshakable steel? For just as tempered glass is stronger after fire, so too are you stronger after every breaking. So rise, chosen one. Let your life testify not only for today, but for tomorrow. Not only for yourself, but for the lineage you carry. The covenant has been written. The scaffolding stands. The legacy is secure. Stand up, for your elevation is not man-made. It is heaven-born, and it carries the weight of generations. And when you rise, you will not rise alone. You will lift an entire lineage, carried by the eternal promise of God. The furnace of hardship did not consume you. It tempered you like steel refined in fire. Every trial you endured was not a sentence of destruction, but a process of strengthening. Isaiah 48:10 declares, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. Could it be that the flames you feared most were actually the forge of your destiny? Could it be that the very seasons which threatened to break you were heaven's workshop, hammering you into unshakable resilience? And what if every scar you carry is not a sign of defeat, but the seal of God's craftsmanship? Proof that you are no longer fragile clay, but tempered steel prepared for war. You are ready now to step into rooms you once only watched others enter. What once felt impossible is now your new atmosphere. Psalm 65:colme, visi promises. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Could it be that the very places where you once stood outside the door, unheard and unacknowledged, are now preparing to seat you in honor? And what if the doors you thought were locked forever were never meant for others? They were waiting for you to be refined enough to carry their weight. In psychology, there is a concept called cognitive readiness, the ability to process new levels of complexity. Perhaps God has been building your spiritual readiness, preparing you to thrive in arenas that once would have overwhelmed you. Divine favor will now move you beyond mere merit into mandate. This is no longer about what you have earned. It is about what heaven has decreed. Romans 9:6 affirms, it does not, therefore, depend on human desire or effort, but on God's mercy. Could it be that your story is shifting from striving to receiving, and from trying to proving into simply becoming? Just as resonance in physics amplifies vibrations until a whole building shakes, so is God's favor resonating with your calling, amplifying your reach beyond natural qualifications. And is it not true that what heaven mandates cannot be vetoed by men? There will be no more shrinking to fit into small containers. You were never designed for confinement. You were built for expansion. 2 Corinthians 6:13 urges, open wide your hearts also. What if your shrinking seasons were only tests to see if you would compromise your size to appease the comfort of others? What if every time you were forced into a container, heaven was whispering, hold your form, for soon the container will crack? In nature, the Arctic willow grows small to survive harsh climates, but when placed in fertile ground, it expands into its true form. Could it be that your environment, not your essence, kept you small, and now that the soil is shifting, your true stature will be revealed? You were built to stand on peaks and declare truth. Habakkuk 2:8 says, I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. Could it be that your elevation is not about luxury, but about vantage point, placing you high enough to see what others cannot? And what if the higher you rise, the louder your truth resounds, echoing across valleys where others still wander? History shows us that when Galileo dared to stand on the intellectual peaks of his time, challenging falsehood with truth, he was ridiculed but could not be silenced. Could it be that your rising is not just for your sake, but for generations waiting for your voice to carry? Expect sudden provision, unexpected partnerships, doors unlatched without your knocking. Philippians 4:19 assures us, and my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. Could it be that provision will now chase you down, not because you begged for it, but because purpose demands it? A simple man named Elias, a street vendor in Brazil, once testified that, after years of barely selling enough to survive, one unexpected partnership with a local charity turned his small food cart into a thriving business that now feeds hundreds daily. What if your story too is about to shift from scraping to overflow? From waiting for doors to open into watching them swing wide without you lifting a hand. Yet take warning, those who try to force doors open in arrogance fall into ruin. King Uzziah, though blessed by God, entered the temple to burn incense unlawfully, and leprosy marked him for the rest of his life. 2 Chronicles 26 to 16:19. Do you see the danger? Elevation not anchored in obedience leads to collapse. But elevation born of God's timing becomes unshakable. Which path will define you, the pride that forces entry, or the surrender that receives heaven's key? So rise. Chosen one, you are no longer a prisoner of fire, but the weapon shaped by it. You are no longer peering through windows at others' opportunities. You are walking through the door heaven has unlatched. This is your moment of mandate, your season of sudden provision, your hour of undeniable elevation. Stand tall, for the peaks are waiting. The truth is burning within you, and the world is about to hear what God has written in your life. Financial walls that once seemed like immovable fortresses will now transform into corridors of blessing, as if God himself is carving passageways where none existed before. Exodus 14:21 reminds us that Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. Could it be that the very walls you thought were blocking you were only waiting for divine breath to split them apart? Could it be that what once mocked you as impossible is about to become the very stage of your testimony? And what if every limitation you faced was not a denial but scaffolding, preparing to collapse so that you could walk straight into provision? But do not chase applause, for applause fades like an echo in an empty canyon. Cling instead to the one who called you, for his voice is not fleeting but eternal. John T. Sivoktiv affirms, "My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me." What if the sweetness of recognition is only a shadow compared to the sovereignty of your assignment? What if the stage that once seemed so desirable pales in comparison to the quiet authority that flows from obedience? As the poet T.S. Eliot once wrote, "The greatest proof of humility is obedience." Could it be that your true elevation will not come from the world's clapping hands, but from heaven's approving nod? Recognition is sweet, but assignment is sovereign. Luke 16:10 declares, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." Could it be that the reason God has held you back from shallow platforms is because he was preparing you for eternal ones? Just as the sunflower turns only toward the sun, no matter how many clouds pass by, your spirit must turn only to the caller, not to the crowd. What if your entire journey has been training you not to confuse applause with authority? What if the stage of your assignment is not measured by its lights, but by its eternal impact? Remain grounded in gratitude and humility. Philippians 2:3 command, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." Gratitude is the anchor that keeps favor from becoming pride. Humility is the soil where true greatness grows. A simple teacher from Poland named Anna once said, "Humility is not about thinking less of yourself, but about remembering who gave you your gift." Could it be that your gift is about to shine in ways that surprise even you? But its strength will depend on whether you remain rooted in gratitude. Let the platform not redefine your heart. The power coming is not a secret commodity to be hoarded or sold. It is authority entrusted for kingdom advancement. Matthew 28-18 reminds us, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." Could it be that God is not giving you mere influence, but the mantle of authority to push his kingdom into places where despair once reigned? And what if this power is not to make your name great, but to make his name unavoidable in the hearts of those who encounter you, where despair once reigned? Boldness will now take residence. Acts 4:31 declares, "They were all filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke the word of God boldly. The voice that was silenced will be heard, and the person who once felt invisible will be sought after, not because of charisma, but because of calling." In nature, the dawn always arrives, no matter how long the night resists. Could it be that your silence was never the end, but simply the dark hour before your sunrise? Could it be that your invisibility was heaven's way of shielding you until the right time? This is restoration that rewrites identity. 1 Peter 2:10 proclaims, "Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy." Could it be that the rejection you endured was the very soil where restoration grew, preparing you for an identity too weighty to be shaped by human hands? History warns us through figures like Richard III, who clawed for recognition through cruelty, only to be remembered as a tyrant lost beneath his own ambition. Do you see the contrast? When rejection births bitterness, legacy dies, but when rejection is surrendered to God, it is rewritten into honor. So, rise. Chosen one. Do not bow to applause or shrink under rejection. Stand tall, for the financial walls are falling. The corridors are opening. The platform is set, and authority is already in your hands. Stand up, for you are not invisible anymore. You are undeniable, called not to chase fame, but to advance the kingdom with boldness and fire. Nobody, nor system, no critic can cancel what heaven ordains. The decrees of men crumble like sandcastles before the tide, but the decree of the Almighty is written in eternal stone. Job 42:2 declares, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted." Could it be that the very voices that tried to define you are about to watch their words collapse under the weight of God's decision? Could it be that the tables are turning, not by your argument, but by heaven's verdict? And what if the very stage built to mock you becomes the very ground where your coronation takes place? For when God moves, the move is irreversible, as unstoppable as the sun rising over the horizon. Your name is being whispered in rooms you have not yet entered. Doors are preparing to swing open before your feet touch their threshold. Proverbs cohaxant promises, "A gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great power." Could it be that the gifts you thought were overlooked are now drawing attention in places you never imagined? Could it be that heaven is planting your name like a seed in the ears of decision makers who will soon seek you out, just as pollen is carried invisibly by the wind, spreading life far beyond the flower it came from? Perhaps your faithfulness is being carried beyond your sight, preparing opportunities you could never orchestrate. Align your steps to the calling. Stop explaining yourself to spectators who were never appointed to shepherd your destiny. 1 Thessalonians 2-4 declares, "We are not trying to please people but God, who tests our hearts." Could it be that your explanations were draining the energy meant for your elevation? Could it be that silence before men is your loudest obedience before heaven, as Michelangelo once said of his art? "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." What if your silence is the carving, cutting away distractions until the angel of your true purpose stands revealed? Let them watch. Let them wonder. Your life will demonstrate that the hand lifting you is not mortal hands, but the sovereign hand of God. Psalm 75:7 reminds us, "It is God who judges. He brings one down. He exalts another." Could it be that your rise will be so undeniable that even your doubters will have no choice but to say, "Surely this is the Lord's doing," just as the eagle soars higher when storms press against its wings? Could it be that the very resistance in your life was only heaven's wind, designed to carry you upward? This rise will not be a quiet rise. It will reverberate like a symphony striking its crescendo. People will ask how, and you will point only to grace. 2 Corinthians 12:9 declares, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Could it be that your story is about to become the loudest sermon on grace your generation has ever witnessed? Could it be that what you once called shame will now become the very canvas on which God paints redemption? For just as a cracked violin, when restored, produces a deeper resonance than a flawless new one, so too will your life release a sound that cannot be ignored. God consistently uses broken things to accomplish His greatest work. The broken cup that becomes the vessel of blessing, the lonely exile that becomes the leader of nations, the rejected stone that becomes the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22 declares, "The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone." Could it be that your rejection was not a sign of worthlessness, but proof that you were destined to carry weight no ordinary stone could bear? And what if your brokenness is not a disqualifier, but the very evidence that you are ready to be used? For only the shattered can truly overflow with grace. History itself warns us through the proud who resisted God's hand. Pharaoh, intoxicated by his own power, sought to cancel Israel's destiny with slavery. But the plagues shattered his empire, and his pride drowned in the Red Sea. Do you see the lesson? Those who oppose heaven's decree collapse under its weight, while those who yield to it rise beyond measure. Which side of this story will define your legacy, the arrogance that resists or the surrender that reigns? So rise. Chosen one, do not defend yourself to spectators. Do not shrink under the weight of critics. The irreversible hand of God is lifting you now. Your name is echoing in unseen places. Your brokenness is becoming your testimony, and your silence is carving your crown. Stand tall, for your rise will not be quiet. It will resound across generations as the anthem of grace and the proof that no one can cancel what God has ordained. It is the birthplace of your testimony, the sacred threshold where your story shifts from ashes to anthem. Tonight is not simply another passing hour, it is the pivot where survival gives way to celebration, where the desert becomes a doorway. Isaiah 7:6 promises, He will give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Could it be that the very pain that nearly broke you has become the soil where your crown is being planted? Could it be that the years you thought were wasted are now compressing into a single night of holy acceleration? The chains of fear, poverty, shame, and depression are not just falling off, they are shattering so completely that their fragments can never be reforged. You will wake not merely lighter, but reformed, reshaped like metal in the hands of the divine blacksmith. Jeremiah 18:6 declares, like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand. Israel, if clay must be crushed and spun before it becomes a vessel, could it be that the spinning seasons of your life were not chaos, but choreography? Could the dizzying circles you endured be the wheel of heaven, shaping you into a vessel that can now carry oil without spilling? Your name will carry new weight, not because of human applause, but because heaven has inscribed you into its architecture, and your footsteps will press into new territory. For Psalm 37-23 assures, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." 8:18 Prepare your life. Therefore, by pruning what cannot travel with you into the next season, habits that drained your energy, attachments that kept you in cycles, mindsets that whispered smallness, these belong to the old story and cannot be smuggled into the new chapter. John 15:2 teaches, "Every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." Could it be that the pruning was not punishment, but preparation? Could it be that what you called loss was simply heaven cutting away dead weight so your branches could bear multiplied fruit? The pruning is painful, but it is also precise. Heaven never wastes a single cut. God is not simply restoring what the enemy stole. Restoration would mean giving you back what was lost. But Joel 2:25 declares something more radical. "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." If years can be restored, what then is God preparing for you tonight? He is not returning you to where you were. He is launching you beyond restoration into multiplication. A small-town teacher once told her students, "Do not fear what you lose, for what is left is always the seed of what is greater." That teacher never knew her words would echo prophetically for generations. But her point was true. God multiplies what remains faithful. This is multiplication beyond numbers. It is exponential influence, spiritual authority, and the kind of impact that ripples through families, communities, and nations. Daniel 2:1 reminds us, "He changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others." Could it be that your season is shifting because your authority is expanding? Could it be that the doors before you are not just personal opportunities, but national assignments? As frequency in physics creates resonance that shakes entire structures, so too will your obedience create ripples that awaken entire systems. Your yes is no longer small, it is seismic. This is not merely personal elevation. This is a release of divine purpose that affects communities, cities, and generations yet unborn. Like Nehemiah rebuilding Jerusalem's walls with stone and vision, your obedience will repair breaches you didn't create, but were born to restore. Your story is no longer just about survival. It has become a blueprint, a frequency, a spiritual architecture that others will walk within. And as one ordinary man, a farmer named Elias, once said, after recovering from years of addiction, "Freedom isn't just for me, it's for my children, so they'll never know the chains I knew." Could it be that your freedom, too, is about to rewrite entire bloodlines? So rise now. Chosen one, prune what cannot remain. Embrace what heaven is planting, and prepare for acceleration beyond imagination. This is not the night you survive. This is the night you are crowned. Chains fall, territories expand, and testimonies are born. Stand to your feet, for your rise will not be a whisper. It will be a declaration to nations that God has turned mourning into dancing and ashes into crowns. The evidence will be unmistakable because it will carry the fingerprints of heaven pressed into every detail, like an architect's signature in the cornerstone of a cathedral. As you step into this night, carry not the baggage of fear, but two anchors of eternity, faith that acts and humility that lasts. Hebrews 11:1 declares, Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Could it be that this invisible assurance is already building a structure in the unseen, waiting for you to walk through its finished doors? Could it be that humility, so often mocked by the proud, is the very resonance frequency that aligns your life with heaven's vibration? The miracle will not come because you were flawless, polished, or without scars. It will come because the one who promised is faithful. As 1 Thessalonians 5:24 proclaims, "The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it." Do scars disqualify the vessel? Or do they testify that the vessel survived the fire? Joseph bore the scars of betrayal. Yet Genesis 41:41 reveals that Pharaoh said to him, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Could it be that your pit was not the end, but the platform? The dark cavern where the seeds of your future authority were sown? Stay connected to the one who saw you in the depths, who marked you when others dismissed you, who remembered you when you felt invisible. Expect the sudden, the sweeping, the unexplainable, the kind of eruption that only God can explain. Acts 2:2 describes it perfectly. Suddenly a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house. Could tonight be the sound rushing into your life, filling the empty spaces that felt like they would never echo with hope again? A street vendor named Leora once said, after surviving bankruptcy, "The turnaround happened so quickly. I couldn't explain it to anyone except to say it had to be God." Ordinary words, yet drenched with extraordinary truth. When people ask what happened, your answer will not be crafted in eloquence but in clarity. God showed up. Isaiah 41:2-10 echoes, "Fear not, for I am with you, be not dismayed. For I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." Your life will not only shift in private, it will become a public blueprint for others to believe. A living schematic, proving that one faithful night can rewrite decades of struggle. Could it be that your breakthrough is not only yours but a manual for the next generation, teaching them that waiting is not wasted when the God of time himself steps into the equation? Tonight is not a fragile moment. It is your season of an unshakable yes, a decree that reverberates through spiritual dimensions like the ringing of a great bell. 2 Corinthians 1:20 declares, "For no matter how many promises God has made, they are yes in Christ." When the yes of heaven meets the faith of earth, can anything remain the same? Walk into it boldly, claim it confidently, and steward it wisely. This is not a temporary lift like a gust of wind. It is the launch of a lasting legacy. Like tectonic plates shifting to form new continents. And so, chosen one, rise. Your story turns here. Breathe deep as one stepping into holy air. Step forward and watch heaven move. For you are no longer a spectator of miracles, but their living evidence. Tonight the blueprint is drawn, the foundation is poured, and the edifice of your future begins its rise. This is not about survival anymore. It is about dominion, legacy, and destiny fulfilled. Rise now, for the hour has come. Chosen ones. As we come to the close of this prophetic declaration, I want you to pause and truly sense what heaven is releasing in this moment. Tonight is not just another page on the calendar, it is a divine appointment. A night where the weight of 10 years of struggle collapses into a single hour of breakthrough. The same God who split the Red Sea in Exodus 14:21, who shut the mouths of lions in Daniel 6:22, who raised Lazarus after 4 days in John 11:43, is the same God who has marked this very night for you. Do you feel the trembling in your spirit? Do you sense the acceleration under your feet? The heavens are declaring that what was delayed is now being delivered. For so long, you carried burdens that no one else understood, silent tears on pillows, prayers whispered in the midnight hours, moments where you questioned if your faith was in vain. But Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Could it be that your proper time has arrived? Could it be that the years that felt wasted were actually years of divine incubation, preparing you for the explosion of favor about to be unveiled? This is not wishful thinking, but the arithmetic of faith. One night with God equals 10 years of progress without Him. And when it happens, the evidence will bear the fingerprints of heaven. You won't have to defend yourself. You won't need to argue with critics, because the transformation will speak louder than words. As Isaías 60 contra 1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Tonight is your rising. Tonight is the unveiling. The chains that once held you will become the very testimony that proves the power of your deliverer. But let me remind you, chosen one, this is not only about you. Your breakthrough is generational. Your freedom will ripple to your children and your children's children. Your testimony will become the evidence that inspires your community, your city, even your nation. Just as Joseph's rise in Egypt fed nations during famine, your elevation will provide sustenance for those connected to you. Could it be that the night that rewrites your story also ignites a legacy beyond your imagination? So what must you do as you step into this prophetic hour? Walk boldly, but also walk humbly. Steward what God is placing in your hands with reverence, knowing that what begins tonight is not a temporary lift, but the launch of a lasting legacy. Do not chase applause, for recognition fades. Cling to the one who called you, for His assignments are eternal. And when the world asks how you rose from ashes to abundance, may your answer be simple yet unshakable: God showed up. To everyone watching right now, I encourage you to engage in faith. If this word resonated with your spirit, type 777 in the comments as a prophetic act of agreement. Share this message with someone you love who needs to be reminded that one night can change everything. Like this video if it blessed you, and subscribe to this channel so you remain connected to future prophetic words that heaven is releasing. Every interaction helps spread the message of God's truth to more chosen ones across the globe, and your participation is part of this divine assignment. I also want to pause and express my deepest gratitude to those who have supported through Super Thanks. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And to those who simply watch, share, and pray along. Know this: your presence here matters. Whether you gave financially or simply gave your time, your faith, and your attention, you are part of what God is building in this season. You are family, and I bless you for walking this journey together. And now, chosen one, I leave you with this blessing. May the Lord cover you tonight with His glory. May every wall of opposition crumble. May every silent tear be repaid with laughter. May every delay be redeemed by sudden acceleration. May your name carry new weight in heaven and on earth. And may this night be forever marked in your memory as the night heaven said yes. Arise, for your story turns here. Step forward, for the door is open. Breathe deep, for the burden has been lifted. Watch heaven move, for the God who promised is faithful. Tonight, one night, erases 10 years of struggle, and your testimony begins now.